I am in the middle of wanting to fix up some of the rust. I had taken a video earlier of the rust that's underneath this fender, and so ultimately this fender has to come off. I admire the creativity of those who put it on. Rather than buying bolts that actually fit and were the right size, they put these little, I think 5/16 bolts with a big washer on, and they slid it all the way through, and they slid it all the way through the bolt hole right there. So that'll fit all the way through. And so that's actually a threaded hole that's supposed to actually contain a bolt. And you can use that. So I guess they must have lost all their fender bolts. And rather than going and getting some new fender bolts, they use these. So the problem with this is that you have to put a nut on the backside. And you can tell these fenders are quite large. And when I'm working, it's not bad here, but when I'm getting down into the trunk and up here, it was almost impossible to take this apart myself. So people, try using like what it came with. That's a novel idea, I know. And you can come down here and we're going to have just a bit of a glance. I've got the tire off here, and you can see that this is all rusted here, and so I'm going to be replacing this. And I bought the panel. I just bought a brand new power chisel that's going to help me separate this tin from that. And I want to keep this bottom part good so I can weld to it. And I have the replacement tin basically covers all the way this whole area. So I will I'll clean it all up, and I'll pick where the good metal's good. Now if you look up front, you can see where that's right where the bumper used to bolt to, and so you can see it rusted right out. And so I'm going to have to I'm going to cut this all out, and there's actually heavier metal behind here, and I'm going to have to find some heavier metal. I've got some 1-inch square tubing that I may put a bit of a frame behind there, and then use just some of the tin and see if I can build something that the bumper can hold to, that it's going to be relatively good. So right now I'm in the middle of pulling this apart because I got to remove this. So there's a brown wire here that's going to ground, and we have a black that's, I guess that's sitting there to the inside of the vehicle, and a white to the outside. And the white also goes to another marker light up front. So I'm going to be pulling these off. And now I'll set this as where I've collected the other stuff, and now this just comes loose. Pull this boot off. So this is probably a number 10 or right around there. But this wrench works just perfect. I've already bought. Oh yeah, that's factory. That's original. I'm amazed at how they used all kind of creative ways of getting this put back together. Anyway, I bought actually some new ones of these because both of these had gotten cracked right here when they were putting it together. And the eyebrows, if they're not hooked in just right, these are eyebrows, they have to hook in just right in order to, or else they're just going to fall off on the highway on you someplace. And I should have pulled this apart first. You can see right where the crimp-on connectors are. They actually just put connectors on, wrapped it up in black tape, and I have a very simple solution for that. I won't use crimp-ons next time. I'm going to solder them and use heat shrink tubing. And there it is. The fender is off. The lights are looking a mess. But these are really, really strong, really secure. Now I'm going to sand all those scratches out and stuff like that, but these were put on brand new whenever they did the stripes and all that on here. That was done brand new. And I may or may not get new beading. It's not terribly expensive. And these are a little bit dry, so I'm thinking that the rebuild on this was done probably better than 25 years ago. And here we are. So stage 2 is I'm going to take my grinder and cut out some of this and try to find good solid metal wherever I can. And I'll cut out that also. And the good part about both this and that, it's hidden. And with my welding skills, when it's hidden, that is a good thing. We're starting in a video right now, and I'm going to do a bit of a voiceover because I recorded it in super slow-mo, and so I had to speed it up. Anyway, just all that to say is that I've cut out a lot of the stuff around the heater channel. You can notice that the rust is out of there. And I've been trying to clean all that out of there. I'm going to be using my power chisel here right away, and I just loved it. It went through a lot of that metal work like it just literally melted butter. You notice right there I'm poking, and that's actually the carpet on the inside of the vehicle. So I didn't realize I was that close to the carpet, and actually when I went and checked the carpet on the inside, yeah, there was a little bit of a hole cut in it. But being carpet the way it is, I pushed it together, and it all disappeared. And so I was pretty happy about that. What I'm trying to do is remove all the rust and trying to get everything out. That power chisel not only knocked off all the loose rust that was there, but it actually, I used it as like a sort of a descaler, and it worked really well. The rattling and stuff like that just knocked a lot of additional rust out, and that was really good. Shortly after descaling and cleaning it all up, and I actually put a bit of a power brush in there, I used something called Rust Cure. It's something that I picked up, I think, at Canadian Tire. Now I was trying to get exactly where all the lines are going to be. I'm going to trim that down and get it so it's going to fit in there perfect. And also I'm trying to leave it mostly the right size. So I'm just going to cut a few of the edges off. And now I'm putting that power brush on that grinder was amazing. Now, I should have wore a mask because it was sure dusty, but it cleaned up, and you'll see here right away that it cleans up all the rust and residue, everything like that. And I cleaned up all the green paint because the bug was originally the green color. And I cleaned it all up and out. Very shortly, I'll have all the green paint taken off, specifically where I'm going to weld it together. I didn't get any welding shots on this, and that wasn't intentional. It was more of an oversight. I got so excited about getting this panel in that when I set it in, I welded it, and I need to let you guys know that after about 25 different attempts at trying to weld and stuff like that, I figured out how to turn the power down, how not to blow so many holes in, and actually starting to fill some of the holes in. Some of the unfortunate part is I probably should have caught on tape, as I actually caught the carpet on fire a little bit on the inside. So put that out right away. It was under a square inch. It was not very much, but I could smell it right away and said, "Oh, you idiot!" So I had to go and pull it off, and it was mostly the glue that had caught fire on the inside. So I'll have this all cleaned up here right away, and I'll be setting that panel in. And I'll weld it across the top, and I'll weld it down the sides. And literally, and I did a little bit of plug welding in the middle, just sort of trying to bond the two pieces of metal together really well. And what I mean by plug welding, I drilled a few holes into that patch, the fender well patch, and welded through the holes right into the other one. And so that it's sort of like a rivet in a sense, holding it together. It's a lot like spot welding. And so I cleaned that all up. I was really happy, and I sprayed, I think you'll see here right away, something that's called Weld Through Primer. And what it does is it does a really good job of stopping you from having to, it does a good job of stopping rust and any continued deterioration of your metal. And then you can put your patch on, and it's got mine has zinc in it. It has lots of high levels of zinc, and it conducts electricity, so you can actually weld through it. So that's pretty exciting. It worked amazingly well. So I'm finishing this off and getting the last of the odds and ends taken care of there, and it ground out. That one of the best investments I've made is that power brush that I'm using. I know my sister says, "Oh, you found your niche, just talk about tools," and I would love to talk about tools more. I used that power brush there, and I also used it on the front. If you notice in the first part of the video, you saw that hole where the bumper was hooked on. And I used it there, and then I cut all that out, and I welded that all together. And I didn't catch it on video, but you'll see the end results of it on the video here right away. It turned out really well. I was pretty happy with it. And it looked really slick to have it all done. Now that looks like a lot of rust down in the lower right hand corner still, and that's actually not rust in there. I had cut all the rust out. It really is just where the heater channels go back. And there you go. That's weld through paint and or weld through primer, and it really helped sealed everything up and got that. I also, like I said, I had put that rust cure down in there before I put the patch on and finished the patchwork, and it really, I feel relatively confident. This vehicle is not going to be sitting outside in winter, and I likely am not going to be driving a lot in the rain. But you do get caught in the rain, and this is the type of vehicle I wouldn't hesitate to drive in the rain if I had to. But it's really, something to take Cindy out for ice cream or drive out to the cabin in, or, tootle around town and just get the looks. And so that's why I'm doing it. And who knows, I've enjoyed repairing this one enough that I might even just flip this one after I'm done with it and get another one to fix up. It's been a lot of fun. Coming to the end of doing the front fender, and I've tried something a little different. If you'll notice, I've replaced the tin, and I replaced the tin and the rust that was up in the front here. And after I welded it all in, I gave it some contemplation, and I thought to myself, it'd probably be a wise idea to put just a little bit of Bondo in there. Not because I'm worried about what anybody will see, but what it's doing is filling in all the holes and anywhere where you potentially could get rust. And so I'm going to do that. You can see I have one hole left right there, and so I'll take care of that yet. But just that's my thought process. No, I know that rocks will knock the Bondo out eventually. But I'm also thinking about where am I going to be driving this? And I am not going to be driving this on a lot of gravel. I am not going to be driving this in a lot of places where I shouldn't be going. And so because of that, I'm quite content to have it the way it is. And so the Bondo, I don't believe, will get knocked out just because I'm not going to be driving in those places where it might get chipped up. So yeah, not a lot of gravel roads, that type of thing. Well, here it is. I finished off, and I used a product that's called undercoating, and it covered and finished that off real nice. I'm going to finish the undercoating all the way up and around also, but I have to clean off all the crud and stuff like that, so I'll be getting in there with a washcloth and my steel brushes and get that cleaned up. And up front here too, I had my wife come in and help me hold the bumper in place. There's the bumper. And I marked off exactly where the holes needed to drill. And the outside tin, this tin here is just that light tin. It's what I would use, sort of the same tin that I use for patching and stuff. I had a bunch left over. But the inner is a steel here, and I just cut off a piece there and set it and welded it right in behind here. And it welded, there was a channel, almost like the frame, a channel frame in there. And so that was rusted right up. I cleaned all the rust off of it. I cut out all the rust around it, and then I welded that right into the channel. And so I believe that once I weld it into the channel, it is nice and strong. And then I put the tin over the outside. So I'm going to drill through this in all those spots so I have places to bolt. And I'm not exactly sure how easy I can get my hand in there, but I think Cindy can get her hand on the inside, so she will probably be able to hold the nuts on the backside, and I'll be able to bolt it nice and tight in there. So it's not something I'm anticipating taking off a lot of times. The bumper, generally you put it on, it's once on, it stays on. But yeah, that's what I'm doing there. I'm a little bit amazed that it rusted out as badly as it did around those bolts. But and the other guy, he just welded the bumper on. So, well, as you see, the car's come along nicely. I'm going to be drilling those holes out and getting a few last minute things done on that. And then I'll likely be jacking it down and spinning it around so I can start working on the other side. That's kind of cool to think that I've got one side done, and that's kind of good. I didn't get any video of when I did the work on the back of it where I replaced the mount for the bumper on the back that had rusted out so badly, but I will try to document it better as I do the other side. And they were both identical. They both looked equally Swiss cheese with the rust, and so we'll show you guys how there. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Again, remember, subscribe, like, whichever the tabs are, and give me some feedback. All of your comments I will respond to. I will engage with you on those. And thank you so much for Simon and some of the other ones who have been faithfully listening. I know I have a number of people who actually get annoyed with me because they say, Walter, get some more content out there. So I'm going to try to do that a little bit more. So thanks again for tuning in. I enjoy doing this type of thing. It's totally other than what my other job is. So God bless you guys, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.